Greetings, friends. It's been a very long time no see with Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Yeah, today we are back again to play around what we have actually talked about theoretically times ago. Now, let's do a little deep dive showing the practical steps on how to add a custom domain to our M365 environment. Just in case you are joining us for the first time, my name is Paul Ogberefor. I am a Microsoft most valuable professional in the M365 category. So to start, we are heading straight up to our favorite URL, which is admin.microsoft.com. Yeah, it's going to load our page that will been on for some time for us. What do we expect? Boom. The dashboard view of our M365 environment. However, we are not talking about view today. We are adding a custom domain to our environment. In doing that, we just head straight up to settings and then we click on domains. So I'm expecting this to come up with a page that contains the list of domains that we currently have in our environment. And here we have them. First and foremost, I want you to check the names of the domain we have and see the familiarity in them. Apart from the second level domain, which is the MVPOL, you also have similarity in the top level domain, which is the .onmicrosoft.com and the .onmicrosoft.com, right? And these are not suiting to business or personal business branding customization. For example, on Microsoft is more or less generic, especially for guys like us who do a lot of testing, right? It is most common among us and shouldn't be used for businesses. This comes by default when you create a new Microsoft 365 account, right? Now you can now add a custom name to meet or to suit your business branding, okay? And of course, we have the mvpro.com here. This could actually be nice for us to use. So another thing I still want you to take note of is the default that you are seeing here, right? This default only means that, okay, you are prioritizing this as, let's say, preferences in creating identity within the environment. What do I mean? If you want to create an identity, you can use either of the LD domain within your environment. In this case, we have the mvpol.microsoft.com and we have mvportechconnect.onmicrosoft.com. You can use either of them. Because this guy is not completed yet, it will not be available for you to use. So creating new identity now, by default, we pick this domain because it's the default domain to your environment. You can now decide to switch to say, no, this guy, I don't want to use this domain for them, and I want to use the other one. That is where the default comes in, all right? And here, this guy that is incomplete, I can literally click on more action and start the setup or remove the domain, okay? Now, at the top here, you see add domain, by domain, and you see refresh. Refresh is used when you make a recent change that is not popping up yet. You can just go ahead and refresh until you see it. You can buy a new domain directly from Microsoft Portal. And then if you have an existing domain, you can add one. In our case, we have an existing domain, which we want to add. Lest I forget, the .microsoft.com domain, you can add up to about 5 in a tenant. So we are going to add a domain. Now, in adding a domain, it's going to come up with a page to say add a domain. And this is if you already own a domain like this.com, you can add this to your account here. So what is expected is just enter your domain name. And of course, there's a short video here of 56 seconds to show you around how you can actually add a domain. Well, will not be, waiting for all the video to play because of course that is not what we are actually here to do. So I'm going ahead to enter my domain name, right? This is my domain name and I will click on use this domain. So once I hit on use this domain, I'm expecting it to take me to where I need to verify the ownership of my domain. So here we are. It says verify you own this domain. So we want to verify we own the domain. And there are a series of options of about 3 for us to choose one that we want to make use of. But before then, there is something here. Say before we can set up this domain, we need you to sign into your domain host and verify that you own this domain. You can as well, learn how to find your domain host. In our case, I know my domain host. There are a lot of domain providers you can get your domain from. For example, we have the GoDaddy, Namecheap, and the likes, a lot of them. But in our own case, we are using Domain King, right? You see Namecheap, GoDaddy, but yeah, Domain King. So now that we are here, it requires me to sign in. So I'm just going to hit on this login to access my environment. So I have earlier on signed in, and here we are, hello Paul, and this. So now that I'm here, as they have instructed that I should sign into my domain host and verify that you own the domain. Okay, now to verify after signing in, this is giving add the TST record to the domain's DNS records, which is recommended if you can create new DNS records at your registrar or DNS hosting provider, which is from here. If I can add a new DNS record, then a new DNS record, then I should go ahead and create a TST record to confirm that I actually own this domain. What is a TST record? A TST record is actually known as test record. It is used to verify ownership of domain. But in the case where you cannot add the TST records or add a new DNS records, there are some providers that, hey, may not have provision for you to supply a TST records. Now, Microsoft is telling us that if you can't add a TST records, add an MS record, which is mail exchange record, to the domain's DNS record. What this basically do for us is use for emailing. However, you can as well use it to verify your domain. And the last option here says add a text file to the domain's website. This is only recommended if you've already set up a website using this domain. For example, this. Of course, we've not. So for that, this is automatically ruled out, and we are left with these 2 options. Now that we are left with these 2 options, how do I now go about to choose the one I want to use? So I'm going to click on domains here, right? And then I'll go to my domains to see the list of domains that I have currently. All right, so here is the only domain that's currently active that I have. I can actually filter by all, cancel, expired, and stuff. Now you see different status, cancel, expire. So I'm using this that is active. So I'll just hit on this manage. So on manage, let's see if I can actually add a new DNS records. So I could go with the TST file. And if I cannot, so I can know if I'm going with the MS records. So here we are, series of stuff we can do, but here I will just say manage DNS. So in managing DNS, you see we have one DNS zone here, and I can add another one. And from here you see that I can add up to about 1,000, and I've only just added one. So I'll just go ahead and say add. Here now, look at something. You see, there's a drop down here for me to select any of the domain that I want to use within that I have access to, right? But of course, it's picking this automatically for me, which we want to use, and it's the only active one at the moment. Then we have IP address, right? Because of course we cannot confirm without IP address, right? I'm expecting it to give us an error. The IP address you have provided is not valid. Here is empty. Of course, it's not. And yes, it says enter the IP address of the name server associated with the DNS zone. So in doing this, I can just go to my terminal, PowerShell, whichever, or even command prompts that I'm comfortable using, and I'll do ns lookup, right? And then I'll just enter the domain name, which is nv.com.ng, right? So it's giving me this IP address that is mapped with my domain name. So I'm just going to copy this guy, and then I will return to the provider and supply that IP address here. And then I'll just hit on confirm. Okay, now that the DNS record is added, what next do I need to do? So we can now agree that I'm going with what? TST record. So with that, I can just hit on continue. And from here, I will now come. So waiting for it to load to initiate the verification outrightly, expecting it to give me some parameters which I can use to confirm my ownership. Now you see, add a record to verify ownership. And it says we detected your DNS provider is order. Now, what this is doing is Microsoft has a list of providers within their environment. And if you get your domain from either of them, it will auto detect it that, okay, these are the guys you call your domain from. But perhaps you get your domain from provider that is not listed in the environment, they will just pick it up as others. So you can hit on this pen icon, which is edit, to see the list of providers that they have, right? There are a lot. You can actually get your domain from either of these guys, right? And then it says, get to your domain registrar or DNS hosting provider. Go to DNS management page for this domain and add the TST record that uses the value below. When finished, come back here and select what? Verify. And we'll confirm you own the owner of the domain by finding the new record. So they will have to come here to find the records to say, okay, what this guy has applied, is he aligning? Okay. So there will be an underground interaction between the both of them. But then this is what they say we should do. Edit the DNS records and add a TST records. So for this now, for the record that we have, for creating the DNS record, it's, auto create these records for us, right? So we are just going to go to add a record. And adding a record is asking us which record do we want to add. This is A. Now the difference is A is mapped to IPv4, AAA is mapped to IPv6. C name is create alliance that points to other URL. MS is for mail, and here we have the TST. You can just select the TST, and then it's loading to see the values that you can supply. So for the name, you just come here and look for the TST name. In this case, just hit on copy, which is this art. And it says you can skip if it's not supported by provider. That means there are some providers that will not supply a space for you to enter a name, but in this case, there is. So we are just entering the name as we have copied from the N365 admin center. And of course, we have the value. You just copy the value, you come here, and then the TST data, you enter the value. Now, we also still have the TTL, which is time to live, which is 3,600 seconds, right? But the provider is not giving us a space to impute that, so we can just go ahead and do what? Confirm. So here we are again, another 1 minute, 34 seconds video to show you how you can actually verify your domain or ownership of your domain. So yeah, the record is added, TST record. This is the record we just added now, right? You can delete it, you can as well, edit it, but we are not editing and we are not deleting. So from here now hit on verify. Let us go and confirm from the provider to say, okay, is it here? Is it not here? Then it can say, okay, you are good to go or you are not good to go. So it's going to take some time. In most cases, it will run into error in your first trial or first attempt to verify. Okay. But when that happens, do not panic. Just go ahead and try again. So we are going to what? Try again. As many times as it will run into error, do not worry. Just keep on trying until it is able to reach this guy and confirm that okay, you actually own the domain, but ensure that you supply the correct information as generated by Microsoft and rightly into your domain hosting provider. So here we come. How do you want to connect your domain to your N365 environment? We have series of options, but we are only seeing one here, which is picked automatically. So for you to see others, just click on this show more option. So we have 3 options here. Let me start from the last one, which says skip and do this later. So we can actually skip this step and come back to do it again. and Microsoft said it is not what recommended. And your Microsoft services won't be connected to this domain. When you are ready to go to when you are ready, go to the domains page and finish setting up, right? So like we have, an incomplete setup domain in our domain list. This also is now added there, which you can go back to say we want to finish up. This is what it's telling you. So the same thing, even if you skip from here, you will still have it listed there, but as an incomplete setup domain. Then the second option is set up my online services for me. So in this case, update your domain name servers to point to Microsoft, and Microsoft 365 will add the rest of the DNS record and set up your online services. So if you are choosing this option, Microsoft will give you list of domain, name servers, which you will then supply to your hosting provider. And Microsoft will automatically add the rest of the domains or the DNS records that are needed for setup. But there is another option, add your own DNS record. If you have a complex DNS record structure, choose this option. Next, we will provide a list of DNS records that we need to add that you will need to add to your domain at your DNS host. So if you feel you need to do a lot of tweaking and your personal or complex DNS record structure, so you should go with this guy so that you can better manage your records by yourself. But in our own case, we don't want to do much. We just want to get the name servers, supply them to the DNS, host provider, then allow Microsoft to, add the rest of the records for us. As simple as that. So I'll just hit on continue. I'm expecting it to generate for me name servers for me to go and supply to my domain hosting providers. So taking its time to load. Okay, yeah, again, it can return you to this page as many times as possible. Do not panic, just hit on continue. Okay, here we are, service selection. So it says choose your online services. In this step, you will select the services to be used with your domain, like email or instant messaging. I will configure a DNS zone on Microsoft 365 servers with the necessary DNS record. We will instruct you later in the wizard to change the NS records for your domain to point to this zone. So first, do you want to use this for email? It is checked by default with Exchange and Exchange Online protection. Then these are the records it will automatically add for you, right? If we were using the option of, okay, we want to do it by ourselves, we probably will be coming here to say add a record, right? If we say add the record, we select MS. If we select MS, which is for mail, the name, we'll come here, copy the name, which is at, and then we'll come here, paste. You see, then you see this, okay, you copy this again, you come, you paste, like that. But we don't need to do all of those by ourselves. All we just need to do is to check the services that we want Microsoft or we want to use the domain for in our M365 environment. You can as well go for this advanced option. You want to use this for Skype, okay, it will go ahead and add all of this on your own behalf, right? You will not be adding them by yourself. Intune, Dkim, then you just leave it for it to do the rest by itself, and then you hit on continue. Okay, yeah, I say add the records for your websites. Before you update your name server DNS records, we will need to capture your website records so Microsoft knows how to route traffic to them. But if you do not, if you don't have a website or other web services, just click on what? Continue. Here you can add record, import DNS records, then go to your DNS providing and current website records will detect your DNS hosting, provider is still others, and basically we have seen. Then we just hit on continue and wait again. Here we are, update your name servers, and as expected, Microsoft has given us these 4 name servers. So what I need to do is to come to my DNS, hosting portal. So I will hit on domains. I will go to my domain. So from my domains, I see the list of domains that I have. I'll come to manage. So from manage, you will see name servers, right? I will hit on it. So by default, you have this guy, Dan1, host www.net and lives. But here, look at something. It said to edit name servers, go to this, right? Find the page where you can add name server, NS records, or edit and customize name servers for contoso.com. It might be located in just, a step-by-step instruction on how you can possibly get it depending on your domain hosting providers. That is what they are telling us. Okay. Now, there is another one here. They say create new records or edit the existing value to match the record shown here. That means you are copying these guys, right? If your DNS provider doesn't allow setting all the name servers shown below, you need to set at least 2 of them. Save your name server record changes, then return here to continue. What it's saying is, you have liberty to add up to 5, right? But 2 is already pre-filled, meaning you have 3 space left. And Microsoft has given you 4 name servers to enter. What then do you do? You can decide to enter 3 or edit from those, and then you enter the 4, whichever way you want to do it. But one thing is, one thing is necessary, and that is you must put or supply at least 2 of these name servers, 2 of them at least. So we are going to copy this, copy this, copy this, copy this. Then we'll come here. Now you see use default name servers. These are the defaults. We need to click on this guy first. Use custom name servers. So we'll come here and enter 1. We'll come and enter 2. We'll come and enter 3. And then we will save. Change name servers. So once you change name servers, I'm expecting it to say, okay, it is saved. All right, changes saved successfully. Now that changes are saved successfully, ideally, we should just come here and hit on continue, and then it should go. Now, it's important. After you successfully complete this step, all new email will be delivered to your new email addresses. So this is just telling you that this is the last thing you need to do to complete your setup, and then you finish up, right? Then you just do your confirm. I'm not expecting this to confirm anyways, because it usually takes a lot of time to propagate. Yeah. Now look at it. You say the first one, oh, this is what we expect. The record was detected. The records we detected don't match all the expected values. Okay. Now it says we were expecting this. We were expecting this. This is what we have, and it is invalid entry. This wasn't what we are expecting. For the second, the same thing, the same thing, the same thing. Then Microsoft will now tell you the name servers records expected for this are missing. It can take up to 48 hours for recent changes to name server records to be reflected here. If you continue to see this error, go to your DNS hosting provider and make sure the records were added correctly. That is another thing. We queried these name servers for the records. These are what they saw, right? Me now, I now want to delete these 2 guys. I don't need them, right? At the moment, I don't need them. I'll just come here and say, okay, you take the 1. I'll just put them in ascending order. Then you take the 2. This can take 3. And this can take, 4. I can remove this or maybe add the other guy, and then I'll change his name servers. So I'm expecting this to finish loading. Even at that, I'm not saying this will work immediately. Yes, it will take some time for it to work, because here is where all the services need to, Microsoft and Microsoft 365 need to add all the DNS record automatically. So we are still having the same errors from 1 to 4. It's still picking this guy, and picking this guy. So we'll just go on a short break and try to come back later and see what we have, right? Until then, see you. Welcome. All right, welcome from our short breaks. And here we are. Our domain setup is complete. mvppoll.com.ng is all set up, and you can now view and manage it from your domains list. You can now go to active users to add new users and set up email addresses or aliases for everyone who needs to use mvppoll.com.ng for email. And then next steps, go to active users, view all domains. Was it easy to add your domain? Of course, yes, it was. Then is it okay to contact me about this feedback? You want to contact me to protect your privacy? Don't include your private information. Do I want to even do anything? Let me just submit. Let's see. Yes, you can contact me. No, I don't want them to contact me here again. So I want to use .com. That's what? NG. I must write something. No. Let me just do hello. Now I've made this, look sweet to my, personal branding. I'm in Nigeria.ng. This is just my domain short. It's not personal to me, no longer a kind of generic something. That is the good news. And this is where I want my communication to be coming henceforth. So let me just hit on submit. This is me just doing a feedback, it's not related to what we're doing, right? So we can now go to view. You can actually do done or view your domain from here, or go to active users to change certain things, right? So yeah, now I just hit on done and it's taking us back to our domain. And yeah, our domain is LD, right? You see the DNS records. To manage DNS records, go to your domain hosting provider. Yeah, but these are the DNS records that it's automatically added. You can download the file, you can download the CSV file, and then you can as well print in PDF. Okay, then the users that are currently using this domain, there is none, right? I'm going to add some now. The teams and groups that are currently using this domain, none. Us that are currently using this domain as well, none is new and fresh. But first thing I want to do, just take note, everything looks ready. You can get everything you want to use. I just want to set it as default. Now, with this, we replace your current default domain, which is this, right? When you add new users, their email addresses and usernames will use this new domain. If a user has multiple email addresses, the default domain is used as their reply to address. So yes, it's now my default domain, and I will close. Let's go back to my domain. What's up? And here you go, LD and default. So I'm going to remove this guy. Yes, I'm removing it. And that is it. Set as default. Okay, now I'll go to my users. Remember, they asked me to go to active users and computers, then see the default domain that these guys were using. I'm just going ahead. I'll go ahead and change for Olive or Kaku. And what do I just need to do from here is to navigate to manage username and email. So from here now, all I need to do is to click on this edit because I'm not changing the username. It remains the same. I only want to change the domain. So I'll hit on this place and then I pick this guy and then I hit on done. So when next Olive needs to sign in, she will need to sign in with this domain and not the other one. So I'll just go ahead and save changes. So Olive is good to go. She can now sign in with this. Myself, I want to change my account. Where am I? Here you go. Yeah, so I'm just going to manage users and this, and I'll do this, and I'll do this, and then I'll do done, and I'll save the changes. That is saved. Now, if you look here, you now have this. This guy is different. Now I change my email address for signing and emailing, and of course, I'm signing out automatically. So let me try to fall in back. This time around, I'm signing in with my default with my new domain. You see, it automatically picks up from here. I'll just hit on enter, let it authenticate and grant me access. Go. Yeah, so at this point, my email address has changed. If you need to reach me now, you will need to reach me, if you have a new email. Okay, and if we are to add the new user, you see it picks up this name, this domain, we can now decide to say, no, I'm not using this, or I'm using this. So we just cancel, stop. That will be the end of our session, and I hope you enjoyed to this point. And in your own attempts to add a custom domain to your NT365 environment, I hope you find it seamless and easy to code. And perhaps you should have any questions or you need clarity anywhere or probably contribution, please do not hesitate to reach out to me either via LinkedIn or comment it in the comment section. Until the next time again, see you. Ciao.